Hello everyone, this is Elliott Serrano of the Comics Waiting Room and the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel and column, coming to you here from Schaumburg, Illinois and Dreamland Comics. This is my regular haunt where I get my comics every day. I hang out here with folks who like comic books, who read comic books, and as many of you know, I'm also very happy to work in this industry that I love so much. As a writer, as an editorial person who reports on comics and creates them. But what I wanted to do today in this video segment is to address some comments that were made by one Keith Giffen, a writer and creator who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, but who I do want to take a little bit of issue with a comment that he made. The first being, Keith, just want to say that I've been a fan of yours for years. I grew up reading Legion of Superheroes. I read a lot of your books that you write for DC Comics, and I love to see your art when you do it. I'm a big fan of Ambush Bug. In a recent online column, you made a lot of really valid comments about things that are going on in the industry. You took a few comedic shots at some of the different goings-on at both companies. But you did make one comment that I have to say I'm going to have to take you to task for, which was basically where you said, in a way, remember, it's just comics. I take that as sort of a comment towards fandom and fanboys and fangirls and the folks who read comics that you might feel take comic books just a little too seriously. Now, while I do concede that there are folks within comic books who take them, really way too seriously, just like in any sort of entertainment, you have folks who are fans of Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, pro wrestling, folks who get a certain type of entertainment or some sort of pastime, and they really make it a part of their lives, if not their lives in entirety. So while I would agree that yes, folks need to have a balanced outlook on life when it comes to the things that they love and they enjoy, too many creators today kind of want to scoff and push the fanboy aside and give that argument, saying to the effect, guys, it's just comic books. Stop taking it so seriously. And the rational part of me agrees, but human beings aren't entirely rational beings, and there are times when our emotions do get the better of us, and that's just part of what makes us, people. But to tell the fanboy, hey, it's just comics, it's kind of like saying you care too much. And in this age where you have shrinking readership in the industry, where you have rising cover prices, where you have a market that is simply saturated with just about any kind of comic book you can find, I think it does the fan a disservice to tell them, hey, they're just comic books, don't take them so seriously. Because, quite frankly, it's the person who takes the medium seriously that's keeping it alive right now. I can't think of any rational person who is going to go into a comic shop and now pay $4 for a comic book that's going to contain 2 8-page backup stories and a bunch of script that they could have found on the internet. I can't think of any, person who didn't take comics seriously and be willing to give a significant portion of their paycheck each week to buy trade paperbacks that are now higher in price than if you decided to buy the individual issues that they collect, that be willing to, pay more for a comic book that doesn't offer any more additional content than, let's say, the comics that we might have read years ago that cost, let's say, a third or a quarter of the price and gave us way much more than what we see in comics today. It's that fan that takes comics very seriously, who considers comics to be a part of their life, that's keeping the industry alive right now. So I think as creators, we need to remember that. We need to remember that obsessive fanboy that's out there, that obsessive fangirl who really takes exception to what's going on with Spider-Man or Green Lantern or Superman or Supergirl or even, the other characters in independent books. I think that fan really needs to be considered and not just brushed aside. Because the reality is without that fan, the industry wouldn't be what it is right now. And if you look, in this shop alone, there's a lot of stuff here that people who take their comics very seriously, they're the ones who buy this. And they're the ones who support this industry. And they deserve a better answer to their questions as to, why is a character being treated the way it is? Why do comic book prices go up so dramatically each year? Why is it that books don't come out on time? Why is it that, that on the whole, comic books just don't feel like something that the fans can enjoy, like the fans can appreciate, other than it's just something that's a habit that they support every week, every month, and it's, just out of a sense of comfort. Creators have to acknowledge that. We have to understand that, yes, with art, there is change, and sometimes change isn't always accepted readily. I know that. I understand that. And I think, too, that fans can understand that, too. If things are explained to them in a way where they're treated, rationally. Now, I know there are folks who are going to say you cannot be rational with an irrational person. And I did, start off this whole thing by saying that in many cases, fanboys, fangirls, people in general, we can be very irrational. But at the very least, comic creators should have respect for the people that they create for. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to keep that mortgage, put gas in your car, food on your table, feed your kids, send them to school, put clothes on their backs, because those fans think that comics aren't just a pastime. You have a life because comic fans make them their lives. So before you brush them off by saying, it's just comics, remember that. Because if it's just comics, then maybe you shouldn't be in it. This is Elliott Serrano for the Comics Waiting Room, and I hope to see you again next time.